There is a voice that lives in every human being, a quiet, persuasive, and poisonous whisper that tells you you're not enough, that you're too late, too broken, too small, too flawed to deserve what you dream of. It crawls into your thoughts when you're alone. It interrupts your moments of peace. It plants doubts in the soil of your confidence and watches them grow into vines that choke your light. That voice is not your truth. It's your enemy dressed as your companion. It pretends to protect you from disappointment, but in truth, it keeps you from living. And unless you confront it, unless you learn to silence its poisonous rhythm, it will keep you trapped in a prison that you built with your own mind. Negative thinking is not born in one day. It's a slow erosion. It begins with a single disappointment, a word that cut too deep, a rejection you took personally, a heartbreak that made you question your worth. It hides behind those moments and whispers, "See, you're not good enough." And because you didn't know better, you believed it. You carried it with you. You began to expect disappointment instead of blessings. You started predicting pain instead of joy. You became loyal to your doubts. You became familiar with your sadness. You started trusting fear more than hope. That's how negative thinking sneaks in. It convinces you it's safer to prepare for the worst than to believe in the best. But let me tell you something. No great soul ever reached the light by kneeling to their darkness. No great mind ever created beauty by believing they were broken. Every masterpiece, every revolution, every act of love began in the mind of someone who chose to believe something better. You can't live a magnificent life while speaking destruction over yourself. You can't grow into your highest potential while thinking you're unworthy of sunlight. You can't hold peace in your heart while feeding it fear. You can't expect miracles while rehearsing misery. You have to decide, right now, that your mind will no longer be a home for doubt. You have to choose to kill your negative thinking before it kills your purpose. That means you stop entertaining thoughts that make you smaller. You stop replaying every mistake you've made as if it defines you. You stop letting your insecurities narrate your story. You stop sitting at the table with your fears and calling it reflection. There's a difference between learning from your past and living in it. One frees you. The other chains you. You've got to stop carrying conversations with your inner critic like it's your best friend. You've got to recognize that voice for what it is, a layer that fears your potential. The problem with negative thinking is that it doesn't just affect how you feel. It affects how you live. It makes you hesitant when you should be confident. It makes you settle when you should reach. It makes you quiet when you should speak. It convinces you to dim your light because you're afraid of judgment. It teaches you to question love, to sabotage peace, to mistrust blessings. It makes you see yourself through the lens of your pain instead of your power. You start calling yourself unworthy because someone else couldn't see your value. You start labeling yourself unlucky because life didn't go as planned. You start expecting betrayal because you were once deceived. And before you know it, your entire life becomes a reflection of what you fear instead of what you desire. But what if you decided right now to reverse it? What if you decided that your thoughts will serve your healing instead of your hurt? What if you began to train your mind like you train your body? To build strength, not weakness. What if every time a negative thought came, you didn't entertain it, but replaced it? You said, "No, I am not broken. I am rebuilding. No, I am not late. I am being prepared. No, I am not unlovable. I am learning to love myself." Every time your mind wants to spiral into despair, you speak life instead of death. You counter lies with truth. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in you. People spend years trying to fix their lives while never fixing their minds. They chase new jobs, new relationships, new homes, hoping that something external will erase what's internal. But wherever you go, your thoughts follow. If you don't clean the house of your mind, you will keep inviting new blessings into a cluttered space. You can't decorate pain. You can't disguise hopelessness. You can't hide the noise in your head by changing your surroundings. Peace begins in your thoughts. Healing begins in your beliefs. Transformation begins when you stop letting fear speak first. Your mind is your battlefield, and the war isn't fought with swords. It's fought with words. The words you tell yourself every day are either bricks building your strength or stones destroying your foundation. Every, I can't, chips away at your future. Every, I'm not enough, cracks your confidence. Every, I'll fail anyway, poisons your potential. But every, I will try, every, I am worthy, every, I am capable, begins to shift something inside you. The same brain that once believed you were worthless can learn to believe you are powerful. The same thoughts that once buried you can become the soil where you rise. You can reprogram the language of your mind, but you must first decide that you deserve to. Negative thinking is addictive. It gives you the illusion of control. When you expect the worst, you feel like you're protecting yourself. But protection is not peace. Living in constant defense is not living. You're not built to always anticipate pain. You're built to create beauty. You were not designed to survive endlessly. You were designed to thrive. You were not placed here to fear your own light. You were placed here to illuminate others. And that begins with one decision: to kill the part of your mind that keeps feeding you fear. When you start noticing your thoughts, you realize how cruel they can be. You criticize yourself more harshly than you ever would anyone else. You replay conversations wondering if you sounded foolish. You overanalyze your failures but barely celebrate your victories. You remember every insult but forget every compliment. That is how negative thinking wins. It blinds you to the beauty that already exists in you. You start to think your entire worth depends on the approval of others. You compare your journey to theirs, forgetting that your timeline was never meant to match anyone else's. You question your value because the world has a habit of rewarding loudness, not depth. But your worth is not up for negotiation. It is not given by applause, and it cannot be taken by silence. The next time your mind tells you you're not enough, remind it that you've survived every single day you thought you couldn't. Remind it that you have carried yourself through heartbreak, failure, loss, and fear, and you are still standing. You are proof that light can live in darkness. You are proof that broken things can still build beauty. You are proof that pain can polish the soul. And that's why you must stop letting negative thoughts define you. Because you are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not your past. You are the person who endured it all and is still brave enough to hope. You will never silence your thoughts entirely, but you can choose which ones you amplify. You can choose which ones get to live in your head rent-free. The mind is a garden, and thoughts are seeds. You can plant worry, fear, doubt, and pain, or you can plant faith, strength, peace, and love, but you cannot grow both. Whatever you water will grow. Every time you focus on your pain, it blooms. Every time you focus on your peace, it blossoms. Choose what you tend to. Guard your mental soil. Don't let weeds of negativity choke the life out of your potential. People say, it's not that easy to just think positive. And they're right. It's not easy. But neither is living in a cage of fear. Neither is doubting yourself every morning. Neither is looking in the mirror and feeling unworthy. You're already doing something hard. Why not choose the version that heals you instead of the one that breaks you? Growth hurts. Change hurts. But staying the same hurts more. The moment you stop excusing your negative thinking as realism, you start reclaiming your power. Reality is not fixed. It bends to your belief. The same life can look like suffering or opportunity, depending on the story you tell yourself. There will be people who feed your negative thoughts. People who project their fear onto your dreams. People who find comfort in complaining. Don't join their choir of misery. Protect your mind like you protect your home. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and start breaking your furniture. So why do you let toxic words break your peace? You must learn to recognize when someone's energy is dimming your light. Don't argue with them. Don't explain your optimism. Just walk away and keep your focus. Because peace doesn't beg to be understood. It simply exists. Killing negative thinking doesn't mean you ignore pain. It means you refuse to let it define your vision. It means you allow yourself to feel sadness without building a home in it. It means you acknowledge fear but still move forward. It means you face uncertainty without surrendering to it. You can cry, you can fall, you can break. But don't let your mind convince you that you'll never rise again. Every storm runs out of rain. Every night ends in morning. Every breakdown is a doorway to breakthrough. But you'll only see it if your mind stays open to possibility. When you wake up tomorrow, I want you to pay attention to the first thought that crosses your mind. Because that thought sets the tone for your day. If it's heavy, shift it. If it's hopeless, challenge it. Replace it with something kind. Speak to yourself the way you wish someone had when you were hurting. Tell yourself, I can handle today. Tell yourself, I am enough for the life I'm living. Tell yourself, I am learning, growing, healing, and becoming. The words you repeat become the walls of your reality. Build wisely. There will be moments when your mind tries to drag you back into the past. It will remind you of all the times you failed, of every mistake, of every person who hurt you. But the past is not a place to live. It's a lesson to learn from. You can't drive forward while staring at the rearview mirror. You can't heal while constantly reopening old wounds. Let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you do. Because your peace matters more than your pain. Because your future deserves your full presence. You can't kill negative thinking once and for all. You must kill it daily. Every morning, every thought, every time fear comes knocking, you must choose faith. Every time doubt whispers, you must speak louder. Every time your mind wants to spiral, you must interrupt it with gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to negativity. You can't feel miserable while counting your blessings. You can't feel hopeless while recognizing how far you've come. Gratitude doesn't erase pain. It gives it purpose. It reminds you that even in darkness, you are not alone. Even in confusion, you are being guided. Even in loss, you are learning. You are not weak for having negative thoughts. You are human. The strength lies in what you do with them. Do you let them sit and grow roots? Or do you pull them out the moment they appear? Do you believe every fearful story your mind tells, or do you rewrite it with truth? You have the power to choose. You've always had it. Every time you decide not to surrender to your inner chaos, you win. Every time you speak peace instead of panic, you win. Every time you love yourself through your self-doubt, you win. And one day you'll realize that the voice that used to control you has gone quiet. Because you stopped feeding it. Kill your negative thinking not because life is perfect, but because you deserve peace even when it isn't. You deserve to wake up with hope instead of dread. You deserve to love yourself without conditions. You deserve to believe in the possibility of joy again. And that begins not with the world changing, but with you choosing to change the way you think about it. You are more powerful than your pain. You are bigger than your fears. You are stronger than your doubt. The world may try to convince you otherwise, but your truth is deeper than their noise. You are a creation of resilience, light, and infinite potential. Don't let your mind tell you otherwise. You've survived too much to start doubting yourself now. It's time to kill every thought that tells you you're not enough, and live as if you always were. Because you are, and you always will be. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly tell it, so feed it truth, not fear. The thoughts you entertain most often become the beliefs that shape your reality. Every time you repeat a sentence in your head, you are training your mind to see the world through that lens. If that sentence is built on fear, doubt, or insecurity, you start to view life as something that's happening to you, instead of something that's happening for you. You begin to move cautiously, second, guessing yourself at every turn, waiting for things to fall apart. But when you choose to tell yourself a different story, one rooted in truth, hope, and possibility, your energy shifts. You start to recognize opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to see lessons where others see loss. The language you use with yourself becomes the foundation upon which you build your life. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, your mind will begin to believe it, and it will find evidence to support that belief. Every small mistake, every rejection, every challenge will be seen as proof that your negative thought was right. But the same law works in your favor if you feed it truth. Tell yourself you are capable, and your mind will search for reasons to confirm it. It will remind you of your victories, your resilience, your ability to adapt. The mind is not your enemy, it's your student. It listens, absorbs, and obeys the stories you tell it. That's why you must become mindful of your internal dialogue. You can't speak poison and expect peace. You can't speak fear and expect freedom. You can't speak lack and expect abundance. When you start speaking truth to yourself, you don't just change your thoughts. You change your energy. You begin to walk differently, talk differently, carry yourself differently. People notice. They can sense when someone has replaced fear with certainty, when someone has stopped apologizing for existing. Truth gives you confidence that no validation can match. And the beautiful part is the truth doesn't need to be grand. It can be as simple as I am learning, I am healing, I am becoming. Those small truths, repeated daily, reshape your mental landscape. They start to crowd out the lies that once felt so loud. Most people underestimate the power of repetition. They think transformation happens in grand moments, but it's really in the small, quiet choices. The words you choose when no one's listening, the way you talk to yourself when you fail, the way you comfort your own heart when you feel lost. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, truth over fear, hope over despair, you're rewiring your brain. You're telling it that peace is possible. You're teaching it that pain is temporary. You're reminding it that you are not the victim of your thoughts. You are the author of them. The story you tell yourself today becomes the life you live tomorrow. So if you must repeat something, let it be truth, not fear. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly tell it, so feed it truth, not fear. The thoughts you entertain most often become the beliefs that shape your reality. Every time you repeat a sentence in your head, you are training your mind to see the world through that lens. If that sentence is built on fear, doubt, or insecurity, you start to view life as something that's happening to you, instead of something that's happening for you. You begin to move cautiously, second, guessing yourself at every turn, waiting for things to fall apart. But when you choose to tell yourself a different story, one rooted in truth, hope, and possibility, your energy shifts. You start to recognize opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to see lessons where others see loss. The language you use with yourself becomes the foundation upon which you build your life. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, your mind will begin to believe it, and it will find evidence to support that belief. Every small mistake, every rejection, every challenge will be seen as proof that your negative thought was right. But the same law works in your favor if you feed it truth. Tell yourself you are capable, and your mind will search for reasons to confirm it. It will remind you of your victories, your resilience, your ability to adapt. The mind is not your enemy, it's your student. It listens, absorbs, and obeys the stories you tell it. That's why you must become mindful of your internal dialogue. You can't speak poison and expect peace. You can't speak fear and expect freedom. You can't speak lack and expect abundance. When you start speaking truth to yourself, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your energy. You begin to walk differently, carry yourself differently. People notice. They can sense when someone has replaced fear with certainty, when someone has stopped apologizing for existing. Truth gives you confidence that no validation can match. And the beautiful part is the truth doesn't need to be grand. It can be as simple as, I am learning, I am healing, I am becoming. Those small truths, repeated daily, reshape your mental landscape. They start to crowd out the lies that once felt so loud. Most people underestimate the power of repetition. They think transformation happens in grand moments, but it's really in the small, quiet choices. The words you choose when no one's listening, the way you talk to yourself when you fail, the way you comfort your own heart when you feel lost. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, truth over fear, hope over despair, you're rewiring your brain. You're telling it that peace is possible. You're teaching it that pain is temporary. You're reminding it that you are not the victim of your thoughts. You are the author of them. The story you tell yourself today becomes the life you live tomorrow. So if you must repeat something, let it be truth, not fear. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Your peace is the most valuable possession you own, yet it's the one thing people give away the easiest. You let others disturb it with their opinions, their judgments, their chaos, their drama. You hand over your calm to people who haven't even earned your trust. You allow words, glances, or moments to steal what took you years to build. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's survival. It's the quiet decision to not let the outside world dictate your inner weather. It's understanding that you cannot control what happens around you, but you can control what you allow inside you. Peace is sacred because it's where your power lives. When you lose your peace, you lose your clarity, and without clarity, you lose your direction. People will test your boundaries, intentionally or not. They will drain you with their negativity, pull you into their storms, and expect you to calm them. But you are not a therapist for everyone's chaos. You are not required to carry what doesn't belong to you. Protecting your peace means recognizing when something or someone is taking more from you than they give. It means learning the difference between being kind and being used. It means walking away from conversations that feel heavy, relationships that feel toxic, and environments that make you question your worth. You can love people deeply and still protect your space fiercely. Love doesn't mean access. Forgiveness doesn't mean return. The truth is, peace doesn't come naturally. It must be created. You have to cultivate it through intention, through boundaries, through saying no without guilt. Peace requires you to stop trying to please everyone, because peace and people pleasing cannot coexist. Every time you choose to silence yourself to make someone else comfortable, you trade a piece of your peace. Every time you explain your worth to someone who refuses to see it, you drain your own energy. Every time you try to fix people who are committed to staying broken, you lose fragments of your joy. Protecting your peace means choosing silence over chaos, solitude over gossip, distance over drama. It also means being careful with your thoughts, because peace isn't just about who surrounds you. It's also about what lives within you. You can be alone and still restless if your mind is unkind. Peace requires discipline. It means choosing calm responses when your emotions beg for reaction. It means breathing instead of breaking. It means detaching from outcomes and trusting that everything that leaves your life was never meant to stay. Protecting your peace is not about isolation. It's about alignment. It's about keeping your heart steady while the world spins unpredictably. It's about knowing that your serenity is not up for negotiation. It's a sacred space within you that deserves to be guarded like a treasure. When you protect your peace, you protect your energy, your creativity, your joy, your sanity, and ultimately your purpose. You can't grow while holding conversations with your doubts. Growth requires faith, and faith and doubt cannot share the same room. Doubt doesn't always scream. It whispers. It shows up as hesitation, as second-guessing, as that quiet voice in the back of your mind that keeps asking, "What if you fail?" It sounds rational, it sounds cautious, it sounds like it's trying to protect you. But it's not protection, it's paralysis. Every time you entertain that voice, you give it permission to shape your choices. You start shrinking your dreams to fit your fear. You stop reaching because you start reasoning with your limitations. You justify staying small because your doubts have convinced you that safety is better than potential. Growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in uncertainty, in movement, in the space between fear and courage. When you hold conversations with your doubts, you're allowing them to build a home in your mind. You begin to treat them as truth. You analyze every step you take, questioning if you're ready, if you're good enough, if the timing is right. And while you're busy doubting, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Doors close. People who were once waiting for you move on. Doubt convinces you that waiting is wisdom, but sometimes waiting is just fear dressed as patience. Growth asks you to move before you feel ready. It asks you to trust that you'll learn while doing, not before doing. Doubt will always try to negotiate your dreams down to something more comfortable, something less risky, something smaller. But you were not made for small things. You were made for expansion, for evolution, for becoming more than what your fear allows. The mind is persuasive. It can make you believe that the worst will happen, just because you've imagined it vividly. But that's the trap. You spend so much time preparing for disaster that you forget to prepare for success. You start expecting failure as if it's inevitable. And when you expect it long enough, you start manifesting it. You sabotage opportunities. You turn away help. You question love when it's genuine. You hide your gifts because you're afraid of being judged for them. That's how doubt kills growth. Not with force, but with whispers. It doesn't stop you with a wall. It slows you with hesitation until you're standing still. You can't have a conversation with your doubts and expect peace. You can't argue with fear and expect progress. You silence doubt by action, not by explanation. Every small step forward weakens its voice. Every risk you take proves it wrong. The more you move, the quieter it becomes. Growth demands that you stop seeking permission from your fear. It requires that you step into uncertainty and believe that even if you fall, you'll rise stronger. Because growth isn't about being fearless. It's about refusing to let doubt narrate your life. When you stop conversing with your doubts, you finally start hearing the truth that was buried beneath their noise. The truth that you've always been enough, and that your potential has been waiting for your courage to catch up. Gratitude is the weapon that silences negativity. It's the quiet but powerful shift that changes everything without changing anything at all. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it reframes it. It doesn't deny difficulty, but it reminds you that even in difficulty, there is something worth holding on to. When your mind is full of worry, fear, or self-doubt, gratitude interrupts that noise with perspective. It reminds you that despite what's missing, there is still something present. Despite what's broken, something still works. Despite what you lost, something remains. Gratitude doesn't ask you to pretend everything is perfect. It asks you to see that everything isn't lost. It helps you recognize the blessings hidden inside your burdens, the light that still flickers beneath the darkness. Negativity thrives on lack. It feeds on what you think you don't have, what you think you've lost, what you think you can't become. Gratitude, on the other hand, feeds on abundance. It multiplies what it focuses on. When you start appreciating the little things, you start attracting more reasons to be thankful. The mind learns to search for good instead of flaws, for lessons instead of losses. Every thank you whisper becomes a small rebellion against the voice that tells you life isn't enough. Gratitude teaches you to see beauty in ordinary moments, to find peace in the present, to stop chasing happiness as if it's somewhere else. It brings your focus back to now, the only place where joy can live. When you practice gratitude, you begin to see how much energy negativity once consumed. You notice how often you complained without realizing it, how often you replayed old pain, how often you compared your life to someone else's highlight reel. Gratitude breaks that cycle by reminding you that comparison is blindness. It makes you overlook your own blessings. It opens your eyes to the richness of what you already have: your breath, your resilience, your ability to start over, your capacity to love and be loved. Gratitude reminds you that not everything valuable shines. Sometimes peace is a quiet morning. Sometimes joy is a conversation that heals you. Sometimes blessings are disguised as lessons that hurt but still grow you. Negativity can't survive in a heart that's thankful. It needs attention to exist, and gratitude starves it. When you focus on gratitude, you take back control over your mental space. You stop letting circumstances dictate your mood. You start leading your emotions instead of following them. Gratitude grounds you in truth. The truth that life, even when imperfect, is still worthy of love, effort, and hope. It reminds you that you don't need everything to be grateful. You just need awareness. And that awareness becomes power. Gratitude makes you stronger, softer, wiser. It silences negativity not with denial, but with perspective. It teaches your heart to whisper, even here, even now, even in this, I still have enough. The moment you believe you are enough, your healing begins. Everything you seek, every dream you chase, every ounce of peace you long for, starts with that belief. It's not something the world can hand you, not something a person can give you, and not something success can buy you. It's a truth that has to rise within you like light breaking through a dark room. You've spent so much of your life believing that you'll finally be enough when something changes. When you look a certain way, when you have a certain job, when someone finally loves you the way you want to be loved. But the truth is, none of that will ever make you feel whole if you don't already believe it deep inside. Healing doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins when you stop waiting to be perfect to feel worthy. Believing you are enough doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you ignore your flaws or pretend to have it all figured out. It means you stop using your flaws as proof that you're unworthy. It means you stop treating your healing like a test you have to pass. You are not a problem to fix. You are a being to understand, to nurture, to guide gently toward peace. When you start from the belief that you are already enough, your growth becomes peaceful instead of painful. You learn because you want to, not because you're desperate to prove something. You evolve because it feels right, not because you're ashamed of who you are now. That's the kind of healing that lasts. The kind that grows from love, not from self-rejection. Most people spend their lives chasing worthiness through achievement. They run faster, work harder, and do more, hoping that one day they'll finally arrive at that place where they feel enough. But that destination doesn't exist. No amount of doing will ever replace the need for being. No amount of approval from others will ever quiet the voice inside you that doubts your own worth. Believing you are enough doesn't come from being told. It comes from deciding. It's an internal declaration that you no longer need external validation to feel valuable. It's the moment you stop performing and start existing as yourself. You begin to move through life with gentleness instead of pressure, with intention instead of desperation. When you truly believe you are enough, your entire energy changes. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You stop needing constant reassurance that you matter. Instead, you become calm, grounded, centered. You understand that your worth isn't measured in likes, attention, or success. It's not something that fluctuates based on who stays or who leaves. It's constant, steady, unshakable. And from that place, you begin to live differently. You start making choices that align with peace rather than fear. You begin to walk away from what hurts you. Not because you're bitter, but because you've realized you don't need to fight for your value anymore. You start to see rejection not as proof that you're unworthy, but as redirection towards something better. Believing you are enough doesn't mean you'll never feel insecure again. It means when insecurity shows up, you'll know it's just a visitor, not your identity. It means you'll have the strength to challenge the voice that tells you you're not good enough. You'll have the awareness to pause before you spiral. You'll know how to separate temporary emotion from permanent truth. You'll stop letting self-doubt make your decisions for you. That's what healing looks like. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of self-compassion. Healing isn't loud or dramatic, it's quiet. It happens in small moments. The morning you wake up and don't criticize yourself. The night you forgive yourself for something you can't change. The afternoon you say no without feeling guilty. You've been conditioned to believe that worth has to be earned. From the moment you were young, you were rewarded for performance. Good grades, good behavior, good appearance, it all reinforced the idea that love and approval come after effort. So now, as an adult, you've carried that belief into everything. You think you need to be extraordinary to deserve peace. You think you have to keep achieving to earn rest. You think you must constantly prove your value so no one leaves. But real healing begins when you unlearn that. When you realize that you don't need to impress anyone to be worthy of love. When you understand that just existing, breathing, and trying is enough. When you stop striving to become and start allowing yourself to be. When you believe you are enough, relationships begin to transform. You stop chasing people who make you question your value. You stop begging for attention or validation. You start setting boundaries not to push people away, but to protect your peace. You stop accepting crumbs from those who can't give you what you deserve. Because now you know your worth isn't negotiable. You no longer confuse being needed with being loved. You no longer see rejection as failure. You learn to stand alone and feel whole, not empty. The moment you realize that you don't need to be chosen to matter, you become unstoppable. You stop settling for half-hearted love, because you finally understand that the right love will recognize your worth without you having to prove it. Believing you are enough also changes how you treat your dreams. Instead of pursuing them out of fear of being forgotten, you pursue them out of excitement for who you're becoming. You stop rushing your growth because you trust your timing. You no longer look at others' success and feel small. You feel inspired knowing that your moment will come. You stop viewing challenges as punishments and start seeing them as preparation. When you believe you are enough, failure doesn't define you. It refines you. You start to see setbacks as part of your shaping, not your ending. You understand that every closed door, every delayed opportunity, every painful lesson is carving strength into your soul. Healing begins the moment you stop fighting yourself. When you stop treating your emotions as enemies. When you stop trying to fix your humanity as if it's a flaw. You are allowed to have bad days. You are allowed to feel lost. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take time to heal. None of those things make you weak. They make you real. When you believe you are enough, you stop rushing your healing to meet someone else's timeline. You start moving at the pace of grace. You understand that progress doesn't always look like motion. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like breathing, like letting go. The belief that you are enough is not arrogance. It's acceptance. It's not about thinking you're perfect. It's about knowing you're worthy even while you're growing. It's the foundation of self-love, the root of confidence, the birthplace of peace. Because when you believe you are enough, you stop searching for yourself in other people's approval. You stop begging the world to see you. You start seeing yourself. And in that moment, healing doesn't just begin, it expands. It moves through every part of you that ever felt unseen. It fills the cracks that pain once created. It rebuilds you from the inside out. You stop being at war with yourself and start standing in your wholeness. You stop needing permission to be worthy. You simply are. When you reach that point, life starts to open in ways it never did before. You attract better energy, better people, better opportunities. Not because the world changed, but because your belief did. You start walking differently, speaking differently, carrying yourself like someone who knows they are enough. You radiate peace instead of desperation. You make choices from love instead of fear. And slowly, everything around you aligns with that truth. Because the universe mirrors what you believe about yourself. When you believe you are enough, everything begins to move in harmony with that belief. Your healing unfolds. Your heart softens. Your spirit strengthens. And you finally begin to live from a place of wholeness instead of waiting to be complete.